What's up, Starcraft fans? Today we're doing the tier list for timely reinforcements on Minor Evacuation. Brian, let's hear the mutation.
Minor Evac is the map where we have to fight our way to the evac ships and defend them from the infested as they launch. We have to successfully defend 5 ships to win. On brutal difficulty, we lose the game if we lose more than 1 ship. Void rifts spawn every 90 seconds.
Void rifts again.
Each void rift spawns and sends units continuously until destroyed. Temporal fields also appear around the map randomly and temporarily freeze our units.
I would say it's almost not a thing for most commanders, but we have Twotuuu and Sticksbender in the call with us today. Twotuuu and Sticksbender, how are you guys?
Great.
Good.
Alright, Sticksbender, how will we rank the commanders this week?
So basically, there's 2 main priorities here. The ability to get on top of rifts quickly and kill them, and the ability to actually just do the map itself, because some commanders just really have a bad time with infested. Time warps are going to be a bit of a problem as well for that, because they can make it slower to get on top of rifts, and the problem is rifts, like every few seconds they're alive. That's just a whole bunch more problems for you. So
let me just clarify that Temporal Field is different from Time Warp. Temporal Field completely stops units. It's a smaller area. There you go. Yeah, continue.
Yes. So because of that, you're going to have a little bit of trouble sometimes if you get unlucky getting to the rifts in time, and it's just going to slow things down when already everything's on huge time crunch, because that's just how rifts be.
Yeah.
It
sometimes
basically
just adds up.
Yeah, basically we just want people who are good at killing rifts and good at killing infested.
Great. Twotuuu, how about you?
Yeah, so if you have ways to deal with rifts without having to move around, temporal fields will not be that big of an issue. But if you have like hit squads or like mobile armies, or you have to move your main army to take care of a rift, you might get caught in the rift, like caught in the temporal field along the way, and then that will slow down some of the clearing.
I just hear Han and Hornus music when you said without having to move your army. Let's begin. Abathur, where do we have him?
So Abathur is really good against rifts. He used to be the king of void rifts, but he has been dethroned by Lone Wolf. Anyways, on this map though, like normally on other maps with void rifts, you have attack waves that give you biomass. This one, you don't get any extra biomass. So if there's no ship to the right of the natural, it's gonna be hard to get enough biomass. Like just the natural area, I don't know if that's enough for 100. And you also have to do it quickly. So if you can't get 100 quickly, you're not doing anything until like 5 minutes. Or especially like if the rifts are left alone and then your roach kind of dies or something, that's even worse. So the early game for this map is especially rough compared to other void rifts, other maps, because you have so much less biomass to work with, and you need to know where to lure.
All right.
Yeah. But once you get things rolling, it'll be fine. So the early game is like extremely
crucial.
The build, the timings, everything, you must do it like perfectly, because if it's not perfect, you lose your spore or something. Then, or if like your roach gets stuck in a temporal field, or your toxic nest gets stuck in a temporal field, you're just like, oh my gosh, you're gonna be behind. So that's why I put him in B.
B. How about you, Sticksbender?
Yeah, I think that basically all makes sense. To be honest, Abathur's ability to kill infested isn't that great. There's a reason why he's so much in like the mutation solos and speedruns defaults towards just using Vipers to stall the infested until the ship escapes rather than kill the infested, because he's just not that great at killing the infested. But once he gets his ball rolling, yes, he does have enough sheer volume of stuff to generally defend the ships. And once he has his Brutalisks, Void Rifts just stop being a problem.
Yeah.
So if you can survive the rough early game, he does become quite strong. But even then, he's not the strongest. So B tier makes sense.
All right, I actually had him in A because of the... Well, I didn't really have the fastest time getting a Brutalisk, but once I had it just felt noticeably easier. Even just getting a singular Brutalisk just made it so much easier. But then again, I did have an ally. So both of you guys had him in B, so let's have him in B. Alarak, where do we have him?
Alarak is kind of in the reverse case, where he doesn't have anything in particular to help him against Void Rifts. But, oh boy, for this map, killing infested, oh boy, there is literally no one who can compete with Alarak. It is not close. Alarak basically trivializes the actual map itself and just leaves Void Rifts to be dealt with. Now, as for dealing with the Void Rifts, that's Alarak himself and your mothership both have the heroic tag, so both of them can just go through Temporal Fields and only be slowed by 50% instead of stunned, so they can escape.
Sure.
So that means that you're going to be able to at least have, you're not going to get completely trapped. You will be able to get to those Void Rifts. It's just a matter of making sure you don't get overwhelmed by the Void Rifts. Well, you are also having to defend the ships, even if it's taking only very minimal effort. As long as you have Alarak hero unit at the ship and you're microing him with just Destructive Wave on cooldown, probably A tier because his rift killing isn't that great, but he just trivializes the ships.
Sure. How about you, Twotuuu?
So Alarak with P3 can get a mothership at like 235, so he can kill both rifts early on. How you deal with rifts is you have destroyer hit squads. So your hit squad will have 4 or 5 destroyers, and you place static locations, namely the left side, top left, top right, and top bottom right, and in the center, the top middle, like above the natural, below the up the top ships. If you have 4 to 5 hit squads, you can also have one near between the main and the natural, around there, but that's for later. So if you have those hit squads on hotkeys, you can take care of rifts. Unfortunately, like if you don't fly around if you get stuck by a temporal field, then they're gonna die, or you're gonna not be able to kill a rift in time. Yeah, I would say A is fine. You have to manage your hit squads well, though.
I also have Alarak on A. He's not S for me because of the thing that I've noted before. You can play well for 90% of the game, or 99% of the game even. It just takes one errant F2 to move your precious groups out of position. So you actually need to have your control group set up for each one of those hit squads. By the way, for Abathur, I feel like his ultimate evolutions, his Brulisks in particular, are so integral to his strategy that if you use the first prestige or the third prestige, he drops down all the way to E, not even D, because of how critical the Brulisks are to Void Rift sniping. And for Alarak, you need the third prestige. You need the fast mothership to deal with the rifts. Without the mothership, I think he's B or something like that. Maybe even C.
I don't think P1 Abathur drops that far, but it is.
How does he fight the first rift? Defend?
Early rifts are basically the biggest problem for that.
But that's the thing. That's why he's not A, because we're talking about how difficult it is to fight the first rift. That's why he's in B. And if he doesn't have the Brutalisk, it's even worse, right? But
no, not having the first Brutalist doesn't really change the first rift. It just changes the second rift onward. And basically, it's like I wouldn't say he's like E or something. He still has, like, you could just probably you would be making mutas, because P1 usually wants to go Sky Abathur, and mutas are fast, so they can run around and kill rifts. It's just that not Brutalisks good.
If you're going for a Mutalisk, you kind of need a critical mass of them. You can't just send one Mutalisk and they'll take care of the problem. They're not an early game unit.
Mutalisks if they have full biomass.
Why would you use Mutalisks?
You can also use Swarmhouse. They have deep tunnel. Yeah.
But both of those are mid-game units. You don't get them in the early game. And Voids are very much an early game mutator at their hardest.
C or D, not E. E is like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I can't do anything. At least I'm not helping Amon, though. That's E.
P1 is terrible for this one.
All right. So it's D or lower. We can agree if Abathur doesn't have his Brutalisk, it's D or lower. Anyway, let's move on. Artanis, where do we have him?
Great at killing rifts, terrible at infested. Oh boy, bad at killing infested. You're probably going to want, like, Mass Dragoon has proven to be the best army for fighting infested on this map. Not Reavers, not Storm, just Dragoon.
Good old-fashioned Dragoon.
Phoenix Immortal is generally a bit too, like, brittle, and honestly puts a lot of money into Phoenix, which are busy fighting the relatively unthreatening little infested. The big problems are the aberrations. And yes, the infested Banshees get countered by Phoenix, but Dragoons also counter them, because Dragoons are one of the few units that actually has as much range as an infested Banshee. So yeah, you basically just want to end up spamming Dragoons most likely.
Don't you also want Zealots with that?
You'll probably want to get a spin upgrade, but mostly it's going to be you use Zealots to buffer if, like, your Dragoons are getting overwhelmed by something.
All right.
You mostly just want Dragoons. Now, part of the advantage of that is that a small squad of Dragoons, especially if you have the warp haste, the bonus speed when just warped in mastery, you could just warp in a couple Dragoons and say, all right, go get the rifts. You could just get rifts very effectively. You have your top bar can get rifts very effectively. If you don't use P3, it's just one shot a rift with a single orbital strike. If you do use P3, then make sure you call down the Archons right next to the rift, not trying to call them on the rift, or else you just don't get the Archons. But then you can get 2 rifts, maybe 3 with a single volley if you have vision. So that can deal with rift quite effectively. And just the fact you can have the ability to warp in units and deal with a rift, you don't have to keep hit squads around, you just have to keep vision around, so you can summon dudes to kill the rifts. It's all very nice for killing rifts, and it just makes you wish, if only I could actually fight the infested, but you really can't, so it's like C tier or something.
All right, how about you, Twotuuu?
I suggest using P0 over P3 because P3 requires you to have vision, and if your observers are not in the right spots, then you're gonna take time moving them to the right spots, and in order to like summon one Archon, and then you have to like drag your mouse or like move to another location and then drop a second one. That takes way too much time. It's much better to use P0 because Guardian Shell plus 3 Zealots right-clicking a rift, your Zealots might get hurt and die, but who cares? And the rift will go down. Then you orbital strike 5 times, another rift's dead.
Not even the Zealot cares if they die.
Yeah, who cares if they die? What you'll probably eventually have is like you have Zealots spread around because not all of them will die from killing a rift. Maybe one, or like some of them will be very red, and then you have Zealot hit squads around the map killing rifts that spawn near them. So yeah, like especially like at the Eradicators or the area up north of it, you just probably have like many Zealots there, and then left side as well, top right. And then your army will be Dragoons. So maybe Psystorm later on. In the mid-late game, you can add Psystorm. I think it's a lot of in the early game when it's most important. If you spread your army too thin, or if you're in the wrong place, you're gonna have to fight a lot more than you want, or you're gonna use a call down at an inopportune time. And yeah, so I put him in D.
Ooh, what do you think, Sticksbender?
Yeah,
D is okay.
As well.
All right.
D works as well.
I also have him in D. I played Artanis here. He was not fun at all against this mutation. I couldn't even get a lot of the. We did this, right, Twotuuu? You got more rifts than I did, because I found that when you play Artanis and the rifts just spawn just barely out of range of your observer vision, you kind of have to memorize quickly where the rifts are. And if you don't memorize, you can just where do you shoot this again? And if you're gonna do the Dragoon route, you have to have your Dragoons pre-placed, and that takes a lot of planning and routing optimization to get your Dragoons where they need to be. That's why I also think he's D. Anyway,
yeah, you definitely don't want to. You definitely do want to P. Yeah, you definitely do want to be P0 here. Yeah.
All right, let's have him in D. Dehaka, where do we have him?
Dehaka, once you clear the dark fog of war, you should clear that as quickly as like possible, preferably before 820, and then you can deep tunnel or summon greater primal worms to wherever you need to. Yeah. In early game, I used double Haka and slap rifts.
Double the slap.
It's pretty strong. Double Haka slapping rifts. Later on, you can use like Glevic, kill a rift, and then or Glevic at the ship, and then leave the little guys, and then you deep tunnel or like somewhere else. You can also use Dock Run, where you just right click a rift and let people hit him because they can't kill yourself. Yeah, and then like he'll get to the rift eventually. Late game, I use many kinds of. I use Mutalisks, Creeper Hosts, and Tyrannosaurs. I had to use Tyrannosaurs because when I tried just Mutalisks, I did not have enough presence on the ground, and the aberrations killed the shit. So I needed Tyrannosaurs to maintain ground presence in addition to the Hakas or pack leaders. Mutalisks are great for flying around and killing ships. And if you have an ally helping you, you probably will always have a greater primal worm for at least 2 of the void rifts. So I put Dehaka in A.
All right. So how about you, Sticksbender?
Do you think it's like necessary to not just have just Tyrannosaurs, or the Mutas and Swarm Hosts necessary? Do you think?
I use the Creeper Host to defend the main, and they also can. I can summon creepers and kill a nearby rift. That's what I use them for.
That's fair. I
just had like 5, and then the Mutalisks, they fly around. So like, because if you use primal worms like every time, you're not gonna have enough. So as much as possible, you want to like save them. So Mutalisks allow me to fly to a rift. As long as I kill it within 30 seconds, the big wave doesn't spawn.
All right. So
I just have like 10 Mutalisks, not that much, not like a whole huge flock.
Letter.
I said A.
Okay.
Yeah, A fits.
Yeah, I was also between A and S, and he sounds like just the same amount of work that Artanis has to put in to just barely not have him in
I'd say
S.
he's between A and B.
A and B,
actually.
Ooh, spicy.
For the reason of, I think that his early game it's completely doable, but like if you're not on top of things,
which I'm not,
you're just gonna die. You're just gonna die. Like double slap.
You're gonna die, Haka.
Double slap it works, but very fragile, and like you have to take good care of your Dehakas, or they're gonna die.
Double slap
And
is
then
like
the rifts are not going to get slapped because the Dehakas died, and you're just gonna get overwhelmed, and you're not even gonna have the first 2 rifts dead by the time the next 2 rifts spawn, and you're just gonna die. Like the early game is micro intensive and requires you to know what you're doing with Dehaka.
It is quite micro intensive. The double slap is like
that's the whole reason why I'm opposed slightly to him being A, but only slightly because he's very good after that.
Sure.
There are lots of bio things to heal, which is good.
The double slap is like the Han slap and the Horner slap. That's 2 slaps, guys. Anyway, let's move on. Fenix, where do you have him?
Fenix. So he probably will, as usual, Fenix runs into I can go P2, in which case I'm one commander, or I can not go P2, in which case I'm a completely and utterly different commander with like no similarities at all. With P2, you just get you get an early Kaldalis out. He angrily swings his arms. It's decently long while. I can't remember. I think it's at like 10 minutes that rifts start spawning air units. So until then, you just have an angry zealot can just flail his arms at the rifts and everything comes out of them and they'll all die.
Yes.
With P2, you can also defend ships with basically you'll just throw all your champions that aren't Kaldalis at defending the rifts, and good news, they're defended. Probably somewhere around the B range, I would think. I'm not entirely certain. I think Twotuu's analysis is needed here to more accurately determine how well Mr. Fenix can handle things.
All right, how about you, Twotuuu?
He's, as of this recording, one of 2 people I haven't beaten this with. Everyone else I have. So
ooh, spicy.
Everyone else I have.
I'm Twotuuu. I beat the mutation twice with the same commander using different strategies because I'm Twotuuu. So
he's Fenix, like the existing solo of this uses you play him like Lone Wolf, so champions are spread, except that you spread legionnaires in key places to control rifts, because just the champs themselves aren't enough. I used P2. I got to the last ship once and then I got killed. So just once. I couldn't get there again. P2 is doable if you like. You can spread them like Lone Wolf, I guess. And you can use the Arbiter to take care of R1s. But like if you use your champs to take care of rifts, you have close to nothing defending the ships.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kaldalis probably will defend the ships, and then the Warbringer and Taldaran and will take care of rifts.
I was thinking Mass Scouts actually, but go ahead.
Yeah, you can't. The beginning is okay. His early game is fine. It's the late game later on when you have to be everywhere that he starts to fall off.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I put him in C.
So Sticksbender says B range, and Twotuuu says I'm actually more inclined toward B this time because I know a lot of commanders who, well, specifically Zagara, when she's alone, she can run out of steam, which sounds like Fenix's problem here. But as soon as you add even the slightest bit of help from your ally, it sounds like it'll become much more doable, just because you don't have to run out of steam because your ally is there doing anything to help out. That's why I'm slightly more inclined toward B here. What do you think, Twotuuu?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't factor that in because I can't.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's one thing that
control what they do.
Yeah, you can't control what your ally. You can be an amazing ally, which will make your game completely irrelevant. For example, if you get a Karax or a Tychus, it'll be completely irrelevant. Or you get a completely useless ally who doesn't help whatsoever, and the help that presumed help will be irrelevant. So that's true. So what do you think, Are you okay with C?
I think C makes more sense personally.
Right.
I think also that like your analysis of being like Zagara is I'm not sure I'd agree with that, honestly.
Not on this map. Not on this map or this mutation specifically. There are a lot of mutations where Zagara, if you're solo, you can run out of stuff, run out of juice.
No, I mean like as in I don't think that accurately depicts Fenix now.
Okay.
Because I think that it's basically a matter of it's not running out of steam, it's having to like trust your ally to completely handle certain things for you. Like your ally has to carry the ship for you or deal with like all the risks on this side of the map for you.
Coincidentally, that's probably Zagara in this mutation too. Zagara will probably have to rely on his ally or her ally to carry the ship for her, coincidentally. But anyway, that's irrelevant. So C has been agreed on. I actually had him in B initially, but C is fine. Let's move on. Han and Horner, where do we have him?
Han and Horner is great versus Void Rifts as long as you
incredible for his
get
rockets.
your fusion core at 6 minutes. Then you
Yes.
get the fire upgrade immediately when it's done.
Yes.
And you have at least 8 platforms at 820. But Han and Horner, the whole army will be at the ships, except you should leave 1 galleon at the natural, and then 4 galleons will be at each ship. So Han and Horner's main army will be just defending stuff.
Yes.
You can add battle cruisers later to teleport, but basically you're going to be sniping rifts, and it's the enemies aren't stronger. You just mass hellbats and win. So I put them in A.
Ooh, A. I had it much lower. But how about you, Sticksbender? Well, not much lower.
Yeah, that makes sense, to be honest. They're okay at defending ships because they have the glorious invention of hit scan and crowd control, both good things to have, and they have anti-armored weapons with Hellions.
Nice.
And yeah, as we've established, they kill rifts really, really well. Yeah.
All right, I actually had him in B, but both of you guys say A, so let's have him in A. Nice. Karax, S, let's move on. No, I'm just kidding. Karax, where do you have him?
So Karax does, in fact, have really good rift killing and rift defense and ship defense, but they are a little bit divergent in how he handles them. So ship defense, you do want to have buildings, but you're also going to want to add in Colossi to add some extra AoE to your buildings, because otherwise their DPS is just not quite
Insufficient.
there. However, having those buildings lying around is helpful for rifts later. Your top bar can help a lot against ships with solar lance, especially if you have flame upgrade, which you should usually rush out. And he can deal with the rifts like as soon as he can see them. If you can see the rift, it's dead. This makes the first 2 rifts especially really easy, because you just need to get vision of them and they stop existing. Hooray!
Letter.
He's probably S tier, but there's definitely, I would say, stronger commanders.
Oh, yes.
But he's still really strong.
How about you, Twotuuu?
I'll start with by saying he's an S as well, but not as strong as the other S's.
Yeah.
You will spread observers, and it's like basically you're playing Risk and you're taking over the map little at a time. And as you clear a ship, your structures stay there because you don't salvage them. You can't salvage them, and then any rifts that spawn there, they'll die. And because you have buildings everywhere, enemies from rifts will go there instead of your natural, as long as it's like the closest one.
Yes.
So they go after buildings, and they'll just die there. And with Karax, you're probably not gonna have more than like 4 rifts at a time. You might have 5 for like a moment, but then they'll die soon after. So as long as you take your time getting to the rifts, they will eventually die. And the few things that they spawn won't be a big issue, especially since you have repair beam as well. I use carriers instead of colossi, but late game you definitely need to add some units to add DPS. Otherwise, aberrations might just slap all your structures to death. But yeah, S.
All right.
Oh yeah, and also I did this with P2 just to see if it's possible. And P2 is very different. P2 is very different. It's much worse. It's much worse.
But, there we go.
It's doable. You do the Phoenix strat, except you use 78 minerals zealots instead of 160. You spread zealots everywhere and you just slap rifts, and then you have a immortal colossi zealot sentinel army.
All right.
Defending ships.
So unanimous S. Let's move on. Kerrigan, where do we have him?
Kerrigan. Kerrigan, as usual versus rifts, suffers against the first rifts because if they don't spawn near your lings, you're gonna lose some or more.
Oh.
And you by the time 220 comes, you should have about 10. You can get up to about like 10 lings.
10 Zerglings.
And if your lings aren't near the rifts, you might have to fight like a zealot or something, and then you might even hit 250. If it hits 250, then you're gonna lose stuff. You're gonna lose like all of them.
You're gonna lose the game.
So like the early game is just, if you don't want to fight rifts, you build like 7 spines and just survive.
Just hold on till
But
Kerrigan.
once Kerrigan comes out, you're using P0 or P2, but I think P0 is better. P0, you Q twice and the rift is dead, whereas P0 twice it doesn't die. You still have to attack it twice.
All right.
So P0 also with P2 you generally have damage, not energy. But if you need to like slide around the map before you have omegas, then you want P0.
Sure.
So Kerrigan is busy the entire game. Like if she dies even once, you're just so far behind. She cannot die. Omegas are good because like the trickles can slap the omegas for a bit while you take care of other stuff and then come back. But you're gonna be pinged like constantly everywhere because of those trickles.
The worms.
Late for the mid game, I masked Mutalisks and they helped out with defending the ship plus killing rifts, and they fly, so they go everywhere.
That makes sense.
You probably can use Ultras, but I think I like Mutalisks. I'm starting to like Mutalisks a lot more than Ultralisks because they can fly.
Letter.
I put her in B.
How about you, Sticksbender?
So I think that I would personally, for units, actually prefer neither of those options. I'd prefer lurkers because the infested don't have very much detection on this map. Like they don't send detection at you at the ships until like the last ship when they send large enough hybrid to be detectors, but they're still ground hybrid, so they still just get shredded by lurkers. So that's my personal preference. And plus, you can burrow lurkers randomly around the map to deal with rifts, and they have 12 range, so they can actually, that kind of works.
Yeah.
But that all being said, yeah, basically the strategy is pretty straightforward for Kerrigan. It's survive until Kerrigan gets out. Kerrigan cleans up the rifts, deal with ships by using Kerrigan plus RB, but Kerrigan also has to use worms to get over to the rifts sometimes.
Sure.
Basically, Kerrigan has to deal with everything. Don't let her die.
B?
Yeah, I don't know if she's B,
Ooh.
but I guess. Like, I kind of feel like she could be A, but
Oh.
she's fine.
I think Abathur is a bit stronger than Kerrigan because of the Brutalists. You have 3 Brutalists rather than 1 Kerrigan, but
yeah, but like strength of
the map
Brutalists
itself,
is also-
the lurkers are
Plus,
better than...
plus
yeah?
another thing is that like the Brutalists have a 10-second cooldown each on popping around the map. Kerrigan technically has, if you're fast enough about getting in and out of worms, she can just do it endlessly. Like she can get all the rifts in 10 seconds technically in a single cooldown of Brutalisk.
All right. So they're comparable, so that makes her B.
Yeah, I was thinking she could be A because she is better at the map, but it's a lot of like microing Kerrigan, and there is just the fact that Kerrigan dies. Well, that was that.
All right, let's have her in B. Nova, where do we have him?
Nova has a bit of a shaky early game again because she's also a bit shaky before 4 minutes. You obviously need to get a squad of Marines out. You need those Marines. She's got a pretty solid ship defense after that because you've got lots of options. You can use
Ravens,
cloak stuff.
Liberators.
Yeah, you could just use cloaked stuff because, well, you know, Amon doesn't send detection at the ships very much, as we established.
Spooky boys. Banshees.
The problem then becomes rifts, which, you're okay at defending rifts.
Yeah, you have to go with the hit squad route.
Yeah, you have to go with the hit squad route. Liberators are fast, and they kill rifts very fast.
True.
Liberator good.
Letter.
It's basically just going to be hit squads and relying on the raw strength of Nova's army.
Letter.
It feels like something that goes in C, but I could
C.
see B.
How about you, Twotuuu?
I highly advise against using Liberators against Rifts because it's so much work. It's much easier to use Cloak Banshees. You just shift click like to a safe spot and right click the Rift and they'll die. 2 Banshees in the key spots I mentioned earlier. Eventually you'll have like 4 hit squads of Banshees. I haven't done this with P1 yet. I probably will try at some point. I use P3 and with P3 you can use 15-15 for the second mastery. So your units attack a bit faster and you have just enough to one-shot a Rift. So like Nova will be walking around the map basically, sabotage drone, and a Rift dies.
Just to clarify, the second mastery power set is combat unit attack speed and Nova damage.
Energy, ability damage.
Ability damage,
improvement,
yeah.
ability improvement.
Sure.
Since she doesn't have the blink, and it doesn't matter as much.
Sure.
But yeah, for ship defense, I use Marine Hellbats, Raven tank.
Hellbats,
and
ironically.
Liberate.
My goodness. I guess also defensive
everything.
drones. Yeah.
And dump a defense drone. Later on, like you mass Ravens. I mean, you use when your stuff dies, you replace them with Ravens, so you dump turrets everywhere.
Sure.
But yeah, you have hit squads everywhere, and then kill stuff. It's a lot of work, doable. You probably have like a group of Marines at home to defend and 1 tank to defend against trickles. I put Nova in C.
All right. It's both of you. I actually had her in B. Both of you had them in C. Let's put her there.
I will add one thing. The difference between P1 and P3 is that with P3 you can get a better eco plus Marines at 225, but with a starport opening for P1 you get it at Marines at 235.
All right.
And you
so
have a weaker eco.
You have to tank for a little bit. All right. So you guys have in C. Let's have in C. Raynor, where do we have him?
Raynor, I use both P1 and P3.
he's
P1 has a stronger early game, and P3 has a stronger late game. So with P1, you do what Manx does, but you're worse at it. So you have hit squads around the map, and then you have fat firebats and stuff defending the ships.
Sure.
With P3, you like get whacked until 4 minutes, then your Duskwings come, then you get hit hit squads of Banshees, and then eventually you get battle cruisers.
Sure.
Battle cruisers will become your hit squads, and the Banshees will become the ship defense later on because they have better AoE.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of work. It's doable.
How do you deal with the infested Banshees? Vikings?
I made Vikings.
All right.
A few Vikings to deal with that. I put Raynor in C.
How about you, Sticksbender?
Yeah, I'd say C makes sense for Raynor. I still find it hard to believe that P0 wouldn't outdo P1, but that's irrelevant, honestly.
I use tanks. I also have them in C. Siege tanks are just a late game oriented deal. When you have enough of them, it feels like you're steamrolling, but you have to remember that you probably got carried to that point, or at least you got equal contribution to get to that point. Anyway, C is unanimous. There we go. Stetboy, where do we have him?
Stetmann has probably got to build Ultralisks here for the infested, because the Ultralisks just completely hold down the ship completely by themselves. It's kind of silly.
They forget
how
to die.
Effective they forget to die. They forget to die. Yeah, you're going to want probably to have P2. Well, you're going to want P2, obviously. Gary's going to be carrying the early game. Before Gary comes out as rough, you might just end up using the same strategy as Kerrigan with just, I build spine crawlers and I wait until Gary shows up. You could also use Zerglings early on, but you run into the same problem as Kerrigan. If it gets to 250, your Zerglings are going to all die and you're going to lose stuff.
All right, so ladder.
He's like Kerrigan, but better at ships and worse at rifts. And like only slightly better at ships and a lot worse at rifts. So I would say he's like low B.
What do you think, Twotuuu?
He's definitely better than Kerrigan before 4 minutes because he can repair his spine crawlers. But yeah, so because you can repair, you don't need as many, which means you have more drones on eco. Green zone is also good for taking out a rift. Like if enemy Zerglings pop out, you just or Marines, you don't really have to worry about them. Temporal field actually kind of matters because they trap your lings that are trying to run to get rifts. I think I spread spine crawlers in the mid game. So instead of having hit squads, I just put spine crawlers in the key places. And then if any rifts spawn there, they'll just get killed. I didn't want to have hit squads, so like when rift spawn, I would F2 towards one direction, and then I'll use Gary zone to go to like another direction, and then teleport to a third one, kind of like that.
You're gonna have to send Zeus a video of that because I can't visualize how that works.
I'm pretty sure it's already uploaded. It's
all right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's already uploaded. But I put him in B as well.
All right, so it's a unanimous B. There we go. No, it's not yet. I had him in A, but both of you had him in B. So let's have him in B. Stukov, where do we have him?
I love that you can open with Diamondbacks, like fast Diamondback at 3 minutes to deal with first rifts. But that's much riskier than bunker opening. So if you open with bunker, you can just repair the bunker until 4 minutes when Apocalypse comes out, and then you slowly amass Diamondbacks. For this map, Diamondbacks are better. You don't need Banshee. No, early game.
Okay.
Against rifts, you don't want tanks against rifts.
I meant for the ships.
For the ships, this goes for many commanders, but you might want to let the first ship die so you can build up. First, if you save the first ship, you can let the second ship die, because you get lots of time.
Yeah, just buy time.
If you do that.
Sacrifice a ship for more time.
I end up with Diamondback hit squads. So
it goes without saying. Always. You just don't do the bonuses. Goes without saying. Don't do the bonuses.
Yeah. Diamondback hit squads. 4 or 5 Diamondbacks, and like they'll kill whatever comes out, and they're really fast. They slide across the map really quickly, and then in the mid game you start adding tanks, and then you also I think I made a few bunkers so that I can hit air.
Sure.
Yeah, I put them in C.
How about you, Sticksbender?
Yeah, Stukov's got solid ship defense, not amazing but solid, and poor rift killing early on, but once he gets going he's okay. C just kind of makes sense.
All right, actually I had him in D, but both of you guys say C, so let's have him in C. Swann, where do we have him?
Swann is really good. He's kind of like Karax, except his turrets are better for killing infested. Yeah. He obviously doesn't have the ability to just orbital strike the rifts the moment they spawn, but instead he just has laser drill, which will still kill the rifts. It's just a little slower. So he'll need to worry about dealing with a trickle, but his turrets are fine. You basically just play building simulator. You can use Hercules, or even early on, you can use a floating factory to get vision of rifts in order to keep rifts under control. as long as you're just putting a bunch of turrets at every ramp, putting a bunch of turrets around the ship, your biggest concern should just be clear speed getting to the ships, which, as we established, once the first ship has happened, it's a long time.
Or
It's a
the
lot of
second
time
one.
it gives you.
I think it's
whether
like
you defend
11:30 or something.
Yeah, whether you defend the first ship or sacrifice it, either way, it's lots of time. So yeah, you are given plenty of opportunity then to
Build
go
up.
ahead and build up.
Letter.
And once you get all those turrets, yeah, S tier.
How about you, Twotuuu?
So he has building simulator, and even if you use P2, I suggest getting like a Wraith hit squad. Just you don't need like in different locations, since you can just kind of fly around the natural.
They're fast
and there are
enough.
no temporal fields there, or
Yeah.
very few. So you just fly over the cliffs and stuff, and then you snipe rifts. One thing about sniping rifts with Hercules is that when the rifts just spawn, you can teleport to one, but after you kill it, don't teleport to another one, because the 30-second wave will spawn soon. So you wait until the 30-second wave goes away, then you teleport to another one. The enemies that spawn from there will walk into your buildings and die. But if you teleport to the rift immediately after killing one, you're gonna get killed by the units that spawn from there. So you
Sure.
wait. And also, if you use P2, you have concentrated beam to take out a rift. Like every 3 minutes, you can take out a rift.
All right.
And pulse cannons will clear areas. So I put them in S.
All right,
Also.
nice. Let's have an S. Prestige doesn't matter here, right?
No, because P0 is also fine.
Great. Tychus, S. Let's move on. No, where we're
S.
S, right?
Tychus. He's S, and you can also do this without letting any ships go, like any
Yeah.
ships die, because he's just that
He's
strong.
Tychus.
Also, the thing about Tychus is that like you don't have to worry about rifts not getting killed, since Sam will eventually get there. So
You'll get there.
Tychus, what I did is for the first three outlaws, Tychus at the ship, Sirius defending the natural, and then natural plus any nearby rifts, Sam kills the far ones. When 11 minutes, Nux comes out, Nux defends the natural, and then Sirius takes an area, Nux gets the far areas, and then Tychus at the ship still. And then the
Sam
last
gets far.
outlaw I got Blaze.
Crooked Sam gets the far areas, right? Not Nux.
Far areas, like the far area is always like opposite of where you're defending, because if you
Alright.
defend the top right ship, Sam is on the left side.
Yeah.
If you're defending the left shift, Sam is on the right side.
Yeah, so it's Sam, not Nux.
So it's always far from everyone else.
All right.
Nux just hangs around the natural
Hangs around
and
the
kills
natural.
whatever trickles.
Great.
Yeah, I put him in S.
How about you, Sticksbender?
Yeah, like Tychus is obviously S with Lone Wolf. It just allows him to completely control the map because his outlaws can each just steamroll up to the rift and kill it, and nothing can stop them. So yeah, S tier for Lone Wolf Tychus.
Unanimous. There we go. Vorazun, where do we have him?
She's okay. You have Shadow Guard to deal with early rifts, but it's a little late. So unfortunately, the first two rifts are going to be a bit of a pain. The usual thing you want to ideally do with Vorazun is have a cloak wall to deal with that. There are 2 ramps though, so it's a little awkward to cloak wall off the ramps. Plus, you have to hard wall off both ramps and then open up the door for your ally later. Ideally, you have a Terran ally or Stukov or something, so they can have a building that can just move later. But
Or a pair.
well, no, it's just you just want a building that can move later because you want to hard wall off both the ramps with the cloak wall.
All right.
So you want a door that can be opened. That's the thing that you
Protoss
want.
needs a door.
Protoss needs a door. Yes. So basically, yeah, that's what Vorazun usually does for early rifts. Is she just builds a cloak wall, and then you get Shadow Guard to deal with the first 2 rifts and the second 2 rifts once they spawn. You mass up Dark Templar behind your cloak wall, and then eventually you have enough Dark Templar to just keep up with all the rifts everywhere.
Letter.
I think that she's probably somewhere B-ish, C-ish, probably C, probably somewhere in the C range.
How about you, Twotuuu?
I use the Dark Pylon Wall for my main, but not my natural. Like, not the natural, just the main for the first one. And I did not do it at the ramp. I did it around my because there are 2 ramps, so I did it around my Nexus plus simulators. So it's really crowded. And then most of my buildings were in the natural, because once that was cleared, I got that. So with other army-based commanders, you just have Dark Templar hit squads around the map. And the good thing is, until Ravens come, they can't get hit. So, and there is no scan. So you just kill whatever rifts are in your area, and you just like right click, kill the rifts. If there's a problem, you time stop. You can also black hole the attack waves and map your group of Corsairs. You should have Corsairs anyways. You can take them out just like that. But it's a lot of moving around, and you need to know how to Dark Pylon Wall.
Yes.
For each ship. So I put Vorazun in C.
All right, that's a unanimous C. I also had Vorazun in C. Let's have him there. Zagara, where do we have him?
Zagara, so she is great against rifts. She can kill like 3 of them when 3 of the 4. It's just like any rift near her, gone.
Zapha Brutalisk.
Hunter killers, summon hunter killers, right click another nearby rift, deep tunnel to another one, roach drop another one. Especially if the roach drop is near one of the uncleared bases, then rifts are dead. So because Zagara kills most of the rifts immediately, there's almost nothing like you don't have to worry about. You don't have to worry too much. Also, her cooldown is like 20 seconds. So you can, if there's like a 4th rift, you can kill it almost immediately after you kill it. You kill one. The problem is the map itself, so you're gonna need bio launchers for sure. So because Zagara takes care of rifts, you just make spines and spores and bio launchers everywhere. You don't need bio launchers to clear rifts, but if they're left over, you can use them. I guess to shoot them in some general direction. I put them at the natural, and you can defend most of the ships with them. With that said, I still think she's C because she sucks at this map.
What do you think, Sticksbender?
Yeah, she has half a Brutalisk, but she's terrible at killing infested.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I also had her in C. Unanimous.
Oh, there's another thing you can do, which is spread hatcheries. So like if a rift spawns there, you just insta build links.
Zerglings, yeah. Just 300. Zeratul, where do we have him?
Oh wow, I wonder where Zeratul goes. He only has a bunch of stunning buildings and photon cannons that can just teleport to the rifts.
He's a very stunning commander.
And also a hero unit who, if you have P2, will get up to so many charges of blink he could just blink across the entire map in order to deal rifts, which he will like re-shot by then. Yeah,
just be careful to make sure that Zeratul just waste all his blink charges getting blocked by a doodad or the map terrain, which has totally never happened to me, guys. Never ever happened to me before. So what do you think, Twotuuu?
For this one, I did 1 base because that way you know all the trickles will go to your expansion, your main, go to your main, and you have lots of defense there. I actually you use cannons early on, and then later on I switched to Dark Templar. So Dark Templar hits. It's not even a squad. It's just a dude. He's just one dude.
Secret agent.
One dude is an entire hit squad because Void Templar are that strong.
Yes. And then you use Legion plus cannons plus Avatar at each ship, and then they die. And I got up to 11 fragments by the end of the game. So nothing gets through.
My goodness. So S. All right. Yeah. So there it is. So back to the earlier question: do we promote Artanis to S, or is he just not in that same league as these other guys?
I don't think he's in the same league.
What do you think, Sticksbender? Is Artanis in the same league?
Yeah, he has to work more.
I think he's comparable to Karax, but not quite that level, and Karax is already the worst in S, so yeah.
All right,
he can stay. He's staying A. The one that I actually am thinking about is actually Dehaka. Looks remarkably like Abathur to me.
Oh, so demote Dehaka to B.
Potentially, yeah.
What do you think, Twotuuu?
The problem with Abathur, it's not the Void Rifts, it's the early game. Whereas Dehaka, I don't think his early game is bad. You also lift your warden.
Did you just get a Brutalisk by the first rifts, or were you not able to?
Yeah. I could.
So
but
I feel like Dehaka, not just losing your Dehakas when trying to kill the first 2 rifts is maybe a little easier, but it's comparable to the difficulty of getting a Brutalisk for the first rifts.
For Dehaka, you can get double Primal Warden and have them stand up and slap a rift.
Stand up.
Like the one.
Does double Primal Warden win against the rift, or?
So what you usually do is Dehaka will slap one of the rifts to death and jump on it to death, and by that time only one thing will have spawned, and then you deep tunnel to the other one where if the other one's far, then you just go home and defend, and then you attack your way to the rift.
Oh, by the way, one important thing that I think we haven't discussed. Do we assume the live version Void Rift that spawn units at 10 seconds, or the custom map Void Rifts that spawn units later?
It's every 24, but fatter.
Yeah.
I think it should be 12 seconds.
Yeah, it should be the live version Void Rifts, right? Okay, so we're all assuming the live version Void Rifts here, and the one in the Magura
which
map.
is the same as MM.
Yeah. All right. Now we're on the same page. So continue.
Doesn't MM use the custom map waitress? Never mind.
No, they use
MM uses the live version.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. It's the live version Void Rifts are different from the custom mutation. I know it's just Blizzard things. So anyway, do we demote Dehaka to B, or does he stay in A?
I don't think his early game is that bad because he has 2 Hakas. If he's just single
Double
Haka, it's
slap.
actually harder.
Yeah,
Single Haka
Yeah,
is
if it's
harder.
single hawk is obviously harder. Single hawk is obviously harder.
So you
It's
need
just basically
the third prestige
You don't
here.
have to have P3. Single Haka is doable, but it's not. It's like you definitely need 2 wardens.
All right.
Because otherwise you're gonna.
The
you're gonna
2
not-
warden thing seems like a very niche thing. I wouldn't expect literally anyone on the solo queue to even think about having 2 wardens. I don't know.
Well, I don't expect anyone to adjust build orders,
Yeah.
even though you have to.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like he's B because his early game is a little rocky, but he could just stick in A, I suppose.
We can see he could just be bottom of A, still be fine.
I feel like if you don't kill the rifts, he can still fight the dudes that come out and just eat the Zerglings for HP, and or
Yeah.
like eventually work towards the rift.
All right. Yeah. Even though
My biggest concern is what happens if you don't kill the first 2 rifts by the time the next set of rift spawns.
I don't think he should be unable to kill any of the rifts.
Yeah. Well, like even if it's just 1 rift left, having 3 rifts, especially if you're having to protect your ally a bit, it could be disastrous. But right, that's one thing to remember is that when soloing, you can just be like, okay, I just defend my own base and I don't have to worry about an ally even existing. When you have an ally, sometimes that ally is just going to be helplessly standing there like, oh no, I need to be carried to the early game because I don't know how to adjust my build order for Void Rifts. Help me.
Or they're just the type of player who doesn't even look at the mutators and just goes in without even considering what commander they have.
They're just like, screw it.
This is
I'm
harder.
doing Jimmy Battles or Rush. I'll have my first unit at 10 minutes. Definitely he'll be alive by then.
So anyway, I think we can stick the Hawk in A just at the bottom of it. It's not that much different from B, I don't think.
Yeah. It would be the top B.
All right, let's move on. Rankings. Tychus has to be top of S, right?
Has to be Tychus.
Has to be Tychus.
Okay. I kind of thought it would be. I thought it would be Zeratul, honestly, but.
Well, Zeratul can go second.
Yeah,
He's
and that's
also
Swann
really
and
good.
Karax. Wow, that was easy.
The Swann and Karax. There we go. Yeah, for A, top of A is thinking Alarak.
Thanks.
Arcturus?
I think it makes.
Oh yeah, he was an S candidate. That makes sense. All right, there we go.
And then Arcturus.
And
Or
then-
Alarak.
and then Alarak.
Arcturus and then Alarak.
Yeah.
And
I
then
would say
Han.
Han Horner's above Alarak.
Above Alarak. You know
Because
what?
Alarak, good map, not good rifts. Right?
Yeah, I was thinking that. Han and Horner just has that extra edge of it doesn't matter as long as your build is on point. It doesn't matter where the rifts spawn. You'll always get to them. And even if you don't have enough airstrikes, you can always drop one and just use Magmize to finish it off. So I think Han and Horner second and A does make sense.
I'm okay with Han and Horner second and A, but I would say that I feel like it's kind of like Han and Horner is about as good at the map as Alarak is at rifts. Alarak is fine at rifts. He's just not like exceptional against rifts, whereas Han and Horner is exceptional against rifts and fine at the map. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
the reasoning I would agree with putting Han and Horner above is because basically by doing that, we're saying that the rifts alone are more threatening than the map itself.
Yes.
Which is true.
It's true.
That's just true. So yeah.
All right, there we go. And then Alarak, and then Dehaka. And then B, top of B is
Abathur.
probably Abathur, right? Yeah, Abathur. And then...
Kerrigan.
Kerrigan?
Stetmann was just bad Kerrigan.
Okay, so then
Stetmann
Kerrigan
was just
Stet
slightly
boy.
worse Kerrigan.
All right,
remember?
there we go.
Yeah.
Top of C, who do we have?
Man.
Phoenix? Phoenix top of C?
No.
No.
No,
So-
definitely no.
From my
Alright.
personal experience, Raynor and Zagara were actually really easy.
All right,
Yeah.
we can put Raynor top of C.
Compared, Nova was not that hard.
Yeah, I was thinking like Nova and Jimmy are the ones who look like I'd say those look pretty good, and Zagara, fair enough.
I think Raynor just has a bit of an edge over Nova because bunkers, even if you don't snipe the first rips, you can just bunker and you're fine.
For P3, you can't snipe the first rifts, so you double bunker and
You
just
double
hold on
bunker.
for dear life.
Yeah,
Yes.
hold on for dear life. Accurate representation.
Hold on for dear life. Eventually, Dusk Queens will get here and solve the problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
So
So,
Dramatic
Raynor
cinematic
holds-
style.
Early.
Raynor
Raynor
tops
holds early wave just fine.
tops C, then Nova, then Zagara.
Zagara
Makes
deals
sense to
with
me.
rifts so well
So
and
well,
so easily
yeah.
that I think she deserves
Above Nova,
So-
I'm okay with that.
All right.
not above Nova.
Okay.
Okay.
Third. And yeah, we've established that the mutator Void Rifts is tougher than the map itself. So I'm okay with Nova or Zagara being third just just by virtue of being so good against rifts.
I think Zagara and Nova are pretty similar, and yeah.
All right, and then.
All right, so Jimmy, Nova, Zagara. Well, not Phoenix, I don't think. I think it's either
I put
Vorazun.
Phoenix at bottom.
Phoenix at bottom.
Yeah,
All right,
I
Phoenix at bottom. And then.
I would say Vorazun over Stukov because her units are cloaked.
Yeah.
All right.
Being invisible, good.
All right. So.
And also Cloak Wall. Cloak Wall actually gives you an easy way to protect your ally early game if you need to, because you can Cloak Wall off both ramps and just seal the door and not have to worry until both of you have established an army. Because they don't send ravens early, so they're not going to be able to see your Cloak Wall, so you're just safe.
That makes sense. All right, so final rankings for C: Raynor, Nova, Zagara, Vorazun, Stukov, and Phoenix. And for D, we have Artanis. Finally.
I'm not sure I feel like Artanis needs a whole entire tier to himself, to be honest. I feel like he could just slot to C with everyone else.
I think he's just. I played.
He's
played
got
this with
solid
Twotuuu.
rift killing. He's got solid rift killing, and it's not like he's not Zagara bad at dealing with Fested. He's just almost Zagara bad at dealing with Fested. And then flip side, he's not Zagara good at killing rifts. He's just, almost Zagara good at killing rifts.
He has the worst early game of all the 7 down here.
Really?
Like even Stukov,
I think we
have a
agreed.
bunker.
He can deal with it. He can just clear the first 2 rifts, though, is the thing.
I think
And
we
remember
agreed
this-
not to use the third prestige, right? We were using the Garden Shell Artanis, so you need a lot of Zealots.
You could just have, the thing is, you could just have enough Zealot Dragoon to deal with the first 2 rifts when those 2 rifts spawn.
You can, but then later you're gonna have to lose the first shift, and then if you want to expand, you're gonna have to clear that somehow.
Yeah.
Maybe with the solar.
Probably with a solar.
I don't know. It feels to me like he's somewhere in the range of Stukov and Phoenix, but
I played Artanis. I don't feel like he's in the range of Stukov or Phoenix. He felt like he was like at least 1 tier below Phoenix when I played it.
Did you try Phoenix though?
I played Phoenix, but
Twotuuu played Phoenix. Maybe it's just me who's a tier below Twotuuu, but I felt like Artanis was a tier below Phoenix during that game because it feels like he just has to be so everywhere all at once, and when you're spread that, then you're essentially not doing the main objective. It doesn't matter. He's bottom of C or D. It's the same.
Yeah.
I'll just randomize whether he's C or D. I'll close my eyes wherever he lands. There, he landed in top of S. There we go. So let's just end with this tier list.
Anyways.
Okay, so
Moving along.
do we have any synergies of guys in B or lower? I think potentially we could have Zagara and someone who's Zagara and Stetboy.
Jimmy.
Because
Zagara and Jimmy.
that makes sense, yeah.
Jimmy builds tanks, the ships are defended. Zagara has half a Brutalist, the rifts are dealt with. Everything is solved.
I think also, yeah, Artanis and Abathur will be really good because Artanis will handle the first. Once Abathur gets his first Brutalisk, that's all he needs. His first Brutalisk. Everything, the rest of the map is a cakewalk. That's why I think anyone plus Abathur, or yeah, any commander plus Abathur. Well, not any. Zagara, Raynor,
Any good
Artanis.
early game plus Abathur.
Yeah.
Any good early game plus Abathur. Like right now, the problem
Phoenix
is we're looking
plus
at our
Abathur.
C and D tier, and it's like, oh look, everyone has bad early game for the most part. Phoenix plus Abathur, that's a good one. Phoenix is strong
has
early
early
game.
game. Yeah. So Phoenix and Abathur.
Phoenix's problem was that he just drops off a cliff.
True. All right, so there it is,
Go
guys.
scale.
Watch Twotuuu and Sticksbender's channels. I will link them down below, and I will see you guys next time.